try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been. Hey guys, what's going on? Out of focus Jeb here. What in the world? Give me 1 second. I will be right back. Let's try that again.
Right now, right now. 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 Right now, right now.
Goodness. All right, let's try that again. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's episode of Coffee and Crypto Live, my camera stopped using face tracking autofocus. Sorry about that. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin rallying all the way above $30,000 and change. Bitcoin has been in an exceptionally massive rally over the last couple of days, ever since it broke a critical downtrending level of resistance that Bitcoin has been under for the last 3 months. We initially said it when Bitcoin rallied up to about 31K several months ago in April, around April 15th. Breaking above that downtrend sent Bitcoin into a major uptrend at the exact same time that BlackRock, one of the largest asset managers in the entire world, announced that they would be applying for a Bitcoin ETF. We made a video about that yesterday. Make sure to go back and watch that if you have not already. That is a huge story for Bitcoin and potentially one of the stories that could be kicking off the next Bitcoin bull market. And today, we've also got some comments coming from Jerome Powell that are extremely, extremely bullish for Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market. And we're going to be talking about how all of that is impacting Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin is absolutely moonshotting. So today, we're going to talk about why it's doing that, where it's going, and how it is going to look moving into the next month or so. Let's go ahead and read chat. Really appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Rocket Metal News was first. Said, hello, Jeb. Good to see you, Rocket Metal News. Wisely T said last. Not quite last. You were second, so you're pretty far from last. Dan Nolan said, right now. I think Dan Nolan just likes me reading his name and saying that, because I feel like that's part of our routine now. Every stream, I just read you say that and I sing it. Kumar Raj said, good morning. Good to see you. Grand Roofing Incorporated said, good morning, everyone. Good to see you, my friend. Alvin Kumar in chat. Chewy, Sean O'Brien, RC Moore, Crypto Mini Bike, Bam Bam, Mike Lowry, Win Peoples. So many people in chat. When people said, good morning all, may the rough crypto weather treat you kindly. We're having some rough weather down here in Florida. It has been raining every day for about a week and everything is flooded. Like everything, every stormwater retention pond is completely full. Everything is flooded. People's front yards have turned into little ponds. It's crazy. And we're seeing a similar thing in crypto. We Talk NFT said, yay, Jeb time. Remember to smash the like button and share some love. Thank you guys so very much. Let's go ahead and jump straight on over to CoinMarketCap and dive straight on into our market recap. Bitcoin is currently trading at $30,000. Yes, you heard that right. $30,245. It is up 3.5% in the last 24 hours, up 21.07% in the last 7 days, up 8.21% in the last 90 days, and up 82% year to date. The thing I want you to note, however, is that many of the altcoins are still down dramatically. They've had large rallies as well, but they are still down dramatically from where they began. Ethereum has done very well. It's up 4% over the last 24 hours, up 15.56% over the last 7 days. Cardano up 6% in the last 24 hours, up 13% in the last 7 days. Many of the cryptocurrencies are doing quite well, but let me just go ahead and pull our chart up here. One of the things you need to keep in mind is that these cryptocurrencies are still recovering from a massive crash that we saw back when the SEC came out against those altcoins. So yes, Cardano has done very well, and yes, it has rallied right alongside Bitcoin, but it's got a lot of ground to cover to get back to where it was. Ethereum has actually surpassed its pre-SEC attack levels, and it's actually higher than where it started. Makes sense. We've seen Ethereum get neglected from the SEC's attack. It was not a part and parcel of the attack. Many different major altcoins were labeled as crypto asset securities in crypto security assets in those complaints by the Securities and Exchange Commission. Bitcoin and Ethereum were not. And Gary Gensler has even admitted on many occasions that Bitcoin is not a security, but instead a commodity. which means that it's basically invulnerable to it. He has come out and said that Ethereum is not a security, but then he later on said that everything but Bitcoin was a security, which of course includes Ethereum. So where exactly Gary Gensler stands, the world may never know until he releases it with some random blitzkrieg attack that nobody saw coming, because we are fighting for regulator and investor protection. Because you know what protects investors? Doing something out of the blue that drops the investment of those investors you're trying to protect by 40% in a day. That's investor protection right there. Good job, Gary Gensler. Thank you so very much for protecting those investors. Moving right along here, we can see that Bitcoin broke above this downtrending level of resistance with exuberance, with a lot of exuberance. And the main reason that we broke so fast, so far to the upside, is a few things came into play at the exact same time. We broke above this downtrending level of resistance that Bitcoin has been respecting for the last several months. Again, remember I said we topped out here right around April 14th, April 15th. We then entered a downtrend. We tested this downtrend multiple times, about 4 major times. This 5th time, we did end up breaking it, and Bitcoin and cryptocurrency went on a major run. We have now seen Bitcoin rally to the exact level that we talked about yesterday may come into play, and that is $30,750. We also talked about 29.6. Yesterday, Bitcoin was sitting right here, and Bitcoin's market actually surpassed that. It surpassed 29.6, rallied all the way up to $30,750. In the span of just a couple of days, Bitcoin has rallied 25%. It's added $6,000 in market capital. 25%. It's rallied $6,000 in price in the span of just a week. So now, as I said, the question really comes down to why did this happen and what happens next? Well, let's talk about the why. I would encourage you, if you have not already, go back and watch a video I shot yesterday. I shot it on my phone. You guys can go and see it. Sometimes when I'm doing, sometimes when I just need to say something about the market, I'll just kind of shoot a phone video, and that's what I did yesterday in place of a regular Climate of Crypto episode. It was a Climate of Crypto episode. I just shot it a little differently. You can go and see it here. A huge institution just started the next Bitcoin bull run. Right now, the Bitcoin market is on a bull run. This is undoubtedly, no doubt about it, a bull run. The question is now, does it turn into a bull market? There are two differences there. A bull run is when the bulls are running. The bulls are obviously running very powerfully right now. The question turns into, is this going to become a bull market that will last a multiplicity of years? That's what we need to discuss. Why this occurred, I explained in that video, but I'll kind of briefly touch on it right now. There's a lot of reasons. I'm not going to go into every one of them right now because I want you to go and watch that. It's only 7 minutes. You can watch it pretty quick. It's bite-sized. But the main reason that this has occurred is because BlackRock announced that they are going to be applying for a Bitcoin ETF. They have applied for 500, and I believe it's 75. It's either 575, 585 ETF, exchange traded funds, in their 35+ year history, being an investment management company, and they've only ever had one rejected. They've applied for 576 or 586, whichever number. They've had one rejected. So it's 575, 585 to 1. 570, 585. Yes, one was rejected by the SEC. I don't think BlackRock is going to go out on a limb and double the amount of rejections on ETFs that they've ever had with applying for a Bitcoin ETF. If they're applying for a Bitcoin ETF, it more than likely means that BlackRock and Larry Fink, the CEO and founder, one of the founders of BlackRock, know something that we don't. It is highly likely that they know something that we don't. That company has so much sway at the Securities and Exchange Commission because that company is incredibly, massively larger than the SEC. That company, that one investment management firm, has more sway with the SEC than perhaps anyone else in the entire world, including maybe even the president and the rest of the United States government. That company has so much sway at the SEC that they could basically write the rules over there and do whatever it is they want. That's why they have almost never had a single ETF application rejected, and they also know how to work the system to make sure, nope, we're going to cross all of our I's, cross all of our T's, dot all of our I's, and make sure that this thing gets approved. They would not be going for a Bitcoin ETF if they didn't think it would get approved. And number two, that's number one, but number two, they also are signaling through this that they have confidence in Bitcoin. BlackRock has come out and done many things over the last couple of years, indicating that they have interest in Bitcoin. For example, they've invested in CME Future, in Bitcoin over on CME. They have made minor investments in Bitcoin. BlackRock has taken positions in Bitcoin. This is a company that's already working in Bitcoin, already deploying capital into Bitcoin on behalf of their investors. And so it's unsurprising that they're moving in the direction of trying to get a Bitcoin ETF online, because if they are able to get a Bitcoin ETF online, it's going to be much more easy, much simpler for BlackRock to be able to offer Bitcoin to their investors. It's much easier for an investment firm such as them, especially one that large, to invest their investors' money into an ETF rather than into the asset itself. Because if you're investing into the asset itself, then you have to figure out custody. That is a pain that they don't want to do, and that's not their job. They are not a custodian. BlackRock is not a custodian. They're an investment management firm, which means they're going to try and invest in the price and let somebody else do the custodial work as far as holding it. That's not a problem when you're trading stocks, but when you're trading commodities, somebody needs to take care of that custody. If you're trading commodities on corn or on wheat, somebody has to custody all of that corn and wheat that's sitting out there in a silo somewhere. You're not going to have Mr. Billy Bob Johnson up there on the 78th floor of a skyscraper in New York wanting to go and muck hay so that he can make sure that the corn's in the right silo. No, that's not his job. His job is to invest his clients' money for them and try and bring them the largest return possible. So they want to set things up so that somebody else can do the custody. By having an ETF, that forces somebody else, whoever has the ETF, to do the custody. BlackRock is obviously the one applying for the ETF, but they wouldn't be the one doing the custody. They'd have the ETF that they can invest in, but they would end up partnering with somebody else more than likely to do the custody. You want to know who they're going to partner with? Coinbase. Boom. Talk about institutional adoption, not only of Bitcoin, but of a major company in crypto. So think about that for a second. BlackRock is going for an ETF in the United States, and they're going to use Coinbase as their custodian, again, to do all of the farming work, if you will, all of the custodial work. They're going to use Coinbase as their custodian. All the while, the SEC is coming after Coinbase, basically trying to shut them down in the United States. So think about that for a second. You've got a company with $10 trillion in assets under management. Of course, this is something they've been working on, probably getting this ETF application ready for 6 months. They're going to partner with Coinbase. That partnership was announced when they announced this. They're going to partner with Coinbase as their custodian. Do you really think that BlackRock, the gigantic company that they are, with trillions of dollars of assets under management, hundreds of billions of dollars of money in reserve, huge company, one of the most powerful companies on planet Earth, do you think that they don't know and they didn't know that Gary Gensler's SEC was going to go after Coinbase? Do you really think that while they were setting up this ETF, preparing the filing and getting ready for all the documentation and all the systems and processes and everything you need to run an ETF and to be the person that files an ETF, and going down the rabbit hole of getting into business with Coinbase and figuring out how all of that's going to work, it takes a lot of work. You're talking thousands and tens of thousands of man hours, women hours to be able to get something like an ETF to run. You have to figure out the custody. You have to figure out the buying and selling. There's a lot that goes into that. Would they have done all that work if, number one, this giant company didn't know that they'd be able to make the thing actually function and get through the regulator? But two, do you think that Larry Fink himself and BlackRock, the rest of the company and the executive board and the C-suite executives and the board didn't realize that Coinbase was about to come under attack from the SEC? Do you think that the SEC was able to keep that attack against Coinbase a secret? I doubt it. I highly, highly doubt that there was not insider information flowing around, that they didn't have some kind of tip from someone that Coinbase was going to get sued. Now, that wasn't public information, but when you're talking about people that are worth billions of dollars, you're talking about billionaires that work in finance. They obviously have moles in the SEC or some kind of somebody in the SEC that's going to give them some kind of tip. It would have leaked to the top brass of the investment community in Wall Street that an attack against Coinbase was coming. Coinbase themselves probably knew that it was coming. So let's kind of put the pieces together. BlackRock probably knew that Coinbase was coming under attack, but they ended up using them as their custodian. That means that BlackRock probably knows that the attack against Coinbase is not going to lead Coinbase to ceasing to exist in the United States. You know why? Because if they did, then BlackRock would have no custodian for their ETF, and that means that the ETF would have to get rejected because it needs a custodian to function, and that would be 2 rejections, and they don't want that. I hope you see how the puzzle pieces come together here. There's almost no chance that BlackRock didn't know that Coinbase was going to come under fire. BlackRock, at the same time being buddy-buddy with the SEC, is probably going to actually help Coinbase in this lawsuit because they need Coinbase to be the custodian. BlackRock is not in the business of dealing in cryptocurrency, nor do they want to get into that business. That's sloppy. That's work that they don't care about doing. Is beneath them in their eyes, more than likely. Let Coinbase do that work. But for their ETF to function. They need Coinbase to not get banned in the United States because the SEC came down too hard on them. Remember how much sway BlackRock has at the SEC. I think that everything I just said is something that maybe the general public doesn't realize, but the top investors in this industry do. They realize that if Coinbase is being used as the custodian for BlackRock, and BlackRock has a very, 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 very low rate of having ETFs rejected. We're talking about like 0.01%, a hundredth of a percent, 0.02%. Then that more than likely means that Coinbase is going to stick around in the United States. That more than likely means that Coinbase is going to come out on top of this. And that more than likely means that the SEC's attack might not be as bad as people think it is. It's possible. I'm putting a theory out there. I'm not telling you for a fact that that's what's going to happen. I can't predict the future. I don't know as much about what's going on with the SEC attack as, of course, Gary Gensler, Ben Armstrong, and Larry Fink do. All three of those men know way more about what's going on than anybody in the public does. But that's my hunch that maybe BlackRock knows something we don't, and that's why they went ahead with the Bitcoin ETF application, because BlackRock, having as much money as they do, would rather scrap $500 million of work and not mess up that reputation of almost never having ETFs rejected, because it's already happened to them once and messed up their perfect track record. They don't want that to happen twice. They would probably rather scrap $100 million of work on an ETF rather than lose that reputation because they have money to play with. They would rather scrap that at the last minute, more than likely. They'd rather scrap that at the last minute than to launch it. They launched it 2 weeks after the SEC attacked crypto. Maybe they mean something. Maybe they know something we don't. So you see why this BlackRock filing has been so bullish for Bitcoin. Obviously, this means a lot for Bitcoin because it's possible that Bitcoin is going to get a huge amount of institutional adoption after having an ETF come online. On top of that, it also means that Bitcoin is very likely to end up going through a major rally because there's that much interest in the space. All of the people on Wall Street right now are watching intently thinking, maybe Bitcoin will perform very well. And remember, Bitcoin is viewed as the risk-on asset for the investment community right now. It is viewed as an asset that is both safe enough from a regulatory standpoint and from a technical standpoint to invest in, risky and volatile enough to make a lot of money in, but also aged enough and real enough that it has a real value proposition that people can interpret and people can wrap their head around. And that's why it's number one in Bitcoin's on Bitcoin's chart. And that's also why we've seen Bitcoin's market dominance grow so much. So let's go ahead and jump into some charts. We've kind of talked about theory. We've kind of talked about fundamental. Let's talk about charts. Bitcoin's market dominance actually did briefly yesterday breach above 50% on CoinMarketCap. And CoinMarketCap has so many cryptocurrencies listed, it's not even funny. There's, I think, over 25,000 cryptos listed on CoinMarketCap. So if Bitcoin, this is going to be the lowest dominance number you see anywhere. Some places you're going to see it at 52% because they exclude everything past the top 1,000 cryptos. This market reaching 50% shows what the next bull market is likely going to be. The next bull market is likely going to be colored by quite a lot of investment in Bitcoin and Bitcoin going mainstream. Bitcoin is on trajectory. It is on pace to become a mainstream investment in the next 5 to 10 years, especially if an ETF finally gets approved. That does not mean that the rest of the cryptocurrency space is on that same track that quickly. What it does mean is that Bitcoin could see trillions of dollars flowing into it over the course of the next 5 to 10 years as the traditional investors start to adopt it in this sense of, okay, this isn't just this weird little market. This is actually part of a traditional portfolio. Not very many people put 1, 2, 3% of their investment into Bitcoin. Most of the money in Bitcoin is because there are some people that do that, but a lot of it's because if you have big money players putting small bets on it, and you have people like us that are in it that are kind of like diehard fans of cryptocurrency, and we're going to stick around just about no matter what because we believe in Bitcoin and we really believe we're the early adopters of Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been around the block for a very long time and it's not going anywhere. Many of the altcoins might, but Bitcoin is going to stay. And so when Bitcoin has as much volatility as it does right now, investors see that as a good thing in a way because they realize, okay, it drops 75%, but it also goes up 500%. You know, those kind of memes where the girl's like, oh, if you can't take me on my bad days, you don't deserve me on my good day. Whatever you think about that, that's kind of what Bitcoin is like. That's what Bitcoin's saying to the investment community. If you can't take me on my 75% drops, you don't deserve my 600% rallies. And the investment community says, ooh, that's kind of feisty. All right, I'll put some money on that. And then you see people adding Bitcoin into their investment portfolio. That has not even started yet. So, we have barely scratch the surface of the amount of money that can come into Bitcoin if you start seeing sovereign wealth funds coming into cryptocurrency. You're talking about like Norway. They have a huge surplus in oil. They put all that money into a sovereign wealth management fund. That's a huge fund. You got the Saudis. They're trying to put money a lot of different places other than oil because they know eventually they're going to run out. You've got all kinds of the more socialistic countries in Europe that have these wealth funds that they want to put money in so they can have returns for their citizens and try and, you know, grow their own investment firm as a sovereign nation, if you will, so they can provide for these social programs they're trying to do. Many of those investments, and also the retirement funds here in the United States, mutual funds, all that investment that people are doing in the Roth IRAs or 401ks, it's going to flow into Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I think, just needs to prove that it can go back to its all-time high now, and then it's off to the races, and people are going to put a lot of money into it. And if BlackRock is adopting Bitcoin, that is one of the biggest signs of strength that Bitcoin has ever witnessed. And that's where a lot of the volatility on Bitcoin in the crypto market has come from. We've seen in the same month, this month is going to go down in history, just so you know. June 2023 is going to go down in history in the crypto market. And the reason is we saw both the largest attack on all the altcoins and the biggest bullish news story that Bitcoin's ever seen in the same month. Just so you know, this is maybe not the biggest, but one of the biggest bullish news stories that Bitcoin has ever witnessed. You might be thinking, well, wait a minute, what about Michael Saylor? Well, wait a minute, what about Tesla? Well, Tesla sold a bunch of the Bitcoin, and Tesla was never going to be an investment firm. We need Wall Street in cryptocurrency. I'm not necessarily talking about the big money players. I'm talking about the everyday and the people that are worth sub $100 million. Those people are having their money invested for them by fund managers, which BlackRock is one, a very, very powerful one, the largest in the United States. Those managers need to get into Bitcoin, and they're going to pour so much of America's money into Bitcoin. It's not even funny, and Bitcoin will be able to move trillions of dollars to the upside. And those of you who have money in Bitcoin will be so glad you did, and Bitcoin will mature into a more mature asset class. And the reason is because it is a store of value. It has an intrinsic, fundamental value that people do not want to ignore. It is inflation resistant. It is inflation hardened, and it can buck the trend of what the United States dollar is doing. So when that money flows in, it's going to flow in very, very powerfully. So just keep that in mind. Why has the market moved like this? Why has Cardano dropped 40% and Bitcoin rallies 25%? Quite simply, the crypto market itself, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, but mostly excluding Bitcoin because Ethereum might be next. Excluding Bitcoin, crypto has undergone one of the most powerful attacks that it has ever witnessed from the Securities and Exchange Commission, which is ongoing. Not just a one-day flash in the pan, now it's over. No, it's still going on with just as much intensity. It's just behind the scenes. So we shouldn't forget that. And 2 weeks later, we saw one of the most bullish news stories that Bitcoin has ever seen. We've seen hundreds of Bitcoin ETFs be filed for application. Not one of them's ever been accepted. Grayscale got so annoyed that they ended up suing the SEC because they kept rejecting their application. They didn't think it was fair. BlackRock is likely not going to be going down that path. They're likely not going to go down the same path of rejection. They don't want to add to that number. If they think they're going to get rejected, they're just not going to do it. You got to realize BlackRock doesn't need Bitcoin. How do you think they got $10 trillion in assets under management? They're a giant company. They don't need Bitcoin. They want Bitcoin. So think about that. It's not necessity that they're jumping into Bitcoin. They desire to get into Bitcoin because they see opportunity in Bitcoin. And so therefore, I think it's going to do very well. And this hiking Bitcoin dominance is such a good sign. Remember back here to the beginning of the 2020-2021 bull market. Bitcoin in March of 2019 was sitting at 50% market dominance. It rallied all the way up to 70% market dominance. In that same time, Bitcoin went through a huge rally that would send it massively to the upside. That rally happened right around here. You can see this is what Bitcoin did in the same time that its dominance rallied. When Bitcoin's dominance rally, what it does is Bitcoin almost acts like a tsunami. It sucks the life out of the altcoin market, and it just sucks everything into itself, and it moonshots. And so it just grabs all that fuel. It just boom. It's like if you've ever played the game Agar.io, Agario, however you want to say it, it just boom. It just ate everybody. It just grabs everything and then just moonshots. That's a lot of times how it works in Bitcoin. The tsunami analogy, when you have a tsunami happen, you have all the water recede, all the water pulls back from the beach, and if you wanted to, go and be dumb, then you could walk out there probably 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 feet out onto seabed, and there'd be fish flopping around all over the place. Now, you'd get struck by a tsunami, so you don't want to do that. Please never do that. Please hear me here. No, don't ever do that. You can die doing that. But you could, because there's probably about 3,000 feet of exposed seabed that you used to have shallows over. All that water gets sucked out, and then you have this giant tsunami, right? That's what Bitcoin does. It sucks all the life out of the altcoins, and then boom, giant tsunami. And then, you know what I mean? You have the tsunami come in, and then all of a sudden, where there was 3 feet of water, now there's 30 feet of water for a few hours while the water recedes. That's kind of what Bitcoin does. Sucks all the life out of the altcoins for a time. Then it comes in with a vengeance, with a giant rally that starts the market moving, and then now you got the, hang on, let's do that up. Boom, there we go, that was better. Then you have the altcoins moving. Then you've got the fire lit. Sucks all the air out, gets the fire going, then it can grow and it gets stronger. And so that's what I think we might be seeing right now. We might be seeing the very beginning stages of, and now if you live in Japan or somewhere that has tsunamis, forgive me, this might be a kind of a scary analogy, but we're starting to see the beginning stages of that water receding, and you're wondering, why is the water receding? Where's the ocean going? The ocean's disappearing. What is this? I thought ocean levels were supposed to rise. Now they're gone. Where'd the ocean go? That's kind of where we are right now with Bitcoin a little bit. Sea levels are pulling back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet, and Bitcoin's coiling up like a spring. And it's going to, boom, it's going to explode. Now, it is going to take some time to get there. And so one of the things I want you to keep in mind is that Bitcoin is going to need time to be able to go through this rally that we're talking about here. And I do believe that it will. I do believe Bitcoin will go through a major rally. But I'm talking about an event that's going to take on the order of months and years, not just today. Right now, looking out here at the long-term timeframes, Bitcoin is right below its previous local high here at $30,750. Bitcoin is likely going to try and break above that level relatively soon. If we've rallied this high, I would not be at all surprised to see something happen like what we saw happen back here in March, where we rallied up to the previous high, and then we smashed through it. We're basically doing a repeat of this February and March cycle, just like this. And this is what we've been predicting for months. And then right there towards the very end, we're like, oh goodness, the SEC attacked, okay. But then we had some bullish news come in, and it reversed everything. We were following a good trend. We were going to do this. Then the SEC attacked, and it was like, oh, can we go through this rally? Then BlackRock came in and kind of canceled it out and said, no, we can. Kind of came in and saved the day. The SEC tried to crash the market. BlackRock said, nah, we're going to rally the market. And so BlackRock just made themselves a lot of money on that movement. All right, so what happens next here? What happens next is that 30,750 is a hugely important level of resistance, and Bitcoin is probably going to go through at least a day or two of flagging out here. But look, guys, if Bitcoin does attempt to break bullish here, there is a potential buy trade, and I'll show you where it is. The next major level of resistance on Bitcoin sits at 32,938, 32,938. You've probably heard me talk about this level before. This level is representing the absolute bottom that we saw back here on January 24th of 2022, a little over a year and a half ago. And it's also representing, essentially, more or less, this local high that we set in early June of 2022, so it's about a year ago. Bitcoin has a couple of events coming up. We've got CPI data releasing on July 12th, I think, July 13th, something like that. We might see a 0.1% drop, might not. Even if we don't, it's not going to be the end of the world. And then here in about 40 days, we're probably going to see a Fed rate pause again. When those things occur, then Bitcoin likely will be able to break through 30,750, rally up to 32,938, and it may happen before then. It may happen even sooner. Bitcoin could flag out right here, but I want you guys to be ready to go into a trade on a long if Bitcoin does break out here. Now, hang on before you just go and turn off the video, because I need to give you a few caveats. If you are going to go into a long trade here, there's two things I want you to do. Number one, I don't want you to use leverage, and the reason is this trade is extremely risky, what I'm about to show you. This has a huge amount of risk because Bitcoin could just rally a little bit and then flop over. I want you to avoid using leverage on this trade specifically. I'm not against leverage in general, but I want you to avoid using leverage on this trade specifically. Reason being, using leverage on this trade would make it very difficult for you to be able to cover yourself on this trade, because I'm going to tell you how to protect yourself on an entry around 30,750. If you enter up there, number one, you could be getting a giant wick. Right? You could have entered right here, and you don't want to do that. You want to catch the movement. You don't want to just catch the top of the wick, because then you're losing money. Number two, the reason you don't want to use leverage is because if this trade goes bad, what you can do is you can just roll this trade over into your investment portfolio and you can forget about it for a couple of years. Higher risk trades, a lot of times you want to use less or no leverage so that if you do go into a loss and you're like, oh crap, I bought the top and now Bitcoin's going to drop $2,000. Say, all right, I'm just going to not take my losses and I'm just going to add that to my investment portfolio. I'll be negative for week and a half. I'll be negative for a month and a half. I'll be negative for a year, but eventually Bitcoin will go back above $30,000. Guys, I have so much confidence in Bitcoin. It's not even funny. The crypto market, we need to see how things shake out with those other with the altcoins, but Bitcoin specifically is in great shape right now. So the trade is this that I would encourage you to look into. Bitcoin has already hit 3 take profits on LuxAlgo. Hit the first one down here on the 4-hourly chart. Hit the second one just now. And now on the daily chart, we have a confirmed buy signal. That confirmed buy signal's price target is 32,350. I'm going to bank that I think Bitcoin actually will be able to touch that. Bitcoin's so close and has so much enthusiasm. At this point, I think Bitcoin probably will rally up here and touch this. And so if it does that, I think there is an opportunity that you can make a trade here. And I'm probably going to take this trade myself. I'm typically mostly an investor, but I'm thinking about taking this one myself. Bitcoin is probably going to end up breaking up here above 3050 or 3750 and going up to at least the middle point of this LuxAlgo buy signal, if not even higher. And the reason I say that is because this rally is starting from a much higher level than the previous rally did. As you guys can see, Bitcoin dropped down to its bottom right here at around $20,000 on March the 11th. Bitcoin's starting this rally from $20,500. So each of these rallies is starting $5,000 higher. They're going about the same distance, $9,000. $11,500. If we follow that trend, Bitcoin could rally $13,000 and rally up to 38K if it followed that same trend. If Bitcoin followed the trend of going just like $9,000, Bitcoin could rally all the way up to $34,000. Now, it could versus it will are two different questions, but I would not be at all surprised to see Bitcoin continue through a major rally here. The question is, then when will that rally start and how do we take care of it? How do we make the most of it and take advantage of it? Well, Bitcoin is showing today that we're having less volume and we're having less volatility down on the hourly chart. You can see what the hourly chart looks like right here. We've kind of plateaued more concretely than we had in a while. Now, Bitcoin is maintaining huge support above $30,000. If Bitcoin maintains above $30,000, then I think we're in pretty good shape. But if it does fall below $30,000 and starts a major downtrend, then of course don't go into a long. Duh, you know that. Now, if Bitcoin does seem to have a little bit of a correction, and then it can bounce and rally, an entry above its current local high may be in order. If Bitcoin is able to breach this local high again, then that's where you might consider a long trade. That current local high is at 30,750, so let's just say 30,850 as our entry. We'll just go ahead and grab our long position. Going here, we're going to do an entry around 30,850. We will do a stop loss at 30,000, and this is going to be very tight, 30,500, because we're trying to catch a moonshot movement, right? We're not trying to catch a general trend. We're trying to catch this just moonshot event. And then the top, and then the peak, you're probably going to want to ladder out of this depending on the volatility of the movement. But I would put that price target up at 32,935. 32,935. I said 32,938. It's 32,935, sorry. Up at 32,935. And actually, you're going to want to bring that down a little bit, so we'll call it 32,500. The thing to keep in mind is that the entry and the stop level, you're going to want to do those pretty concretely, basically the same every time. Your exit, you're going to want to kind of play that by ear a little bit because you don't always know exactly how far Bitcoin's going to go. You need to see what the exuberance of the rally looks like to see how long you want to stay in the trade. You might want to stay in the trade for $1,000. You might want to stay in the trade for $3,000. It takes the trade actually happening sometimes to know how long you want to stay in the movement. But I think $32,500 is a good exit so long as you have a tight stop loss like this. Remember, guys, the last trade that we gave you was this trade back over here. I gave you this trade before any of this movement happened. I said, look, if Bitcoin breaks above this downtrend, here's a trade that you might want to do. You might want to hold on. You might want to exit a little bit early, and you might want to hold some to let it ride. If you enter this trade down around $27,000, then I hope you were happy because you're up 11%. This is a similar trade right here. I can't guarantee you this is going to happen, obviously, but if you were to take this trade, you'd be up 5.36%, and you'd be catching that movement up to 32,935, and then you can kind of hold on to that movement for as long as you want. I believe that this is going to be a trade that will probably end up being very profitable for you if you take it, and it also has an exit right up here in the very middle of that current buy signal take profit zone. Buy signal take profit zone right around 32.5. Again, I will say it a third time: play the exit by ear. You might want to exit earlier if it's not as strong of a movement. You might want to exit later if it's a super strong movement. But there's the trade. Be very wise and careful with it because Bitcoin's already rallied like $6,500. So you are speculating on a moonshot. You're not speculating on a slow, gradual rally because that's probably not going to happen. Bitcoin's either going to moonshot or it's going to wait and then it'll go into a slow, gradual rally. But if it does have that moonshot, I want you to be able to take advantage of it. So there you go. There's some tips. Hope that was helpful. Guys, make sure to go ahead and let me know in the chat what you guys would like to see. Make sure to hit that like button if you have not already, and also make sure to sign up for LuxAlgo. LuxAlgo has accurately called all of these movements lately. Let me just show you what LuxAlgo has managed to do. LuxAlgo is this indicator right here with the buy and the sell signals and the candle coloring and everything. Let me just use the trend reversal tool, not the trend reversal, sorry, the replay tool to show you what it's done. LuxAlgo accurately predicted that Bitcoin would bottom out right here below $25,900. Remember, it says $25,900 right here in these take profits. The blue is the take profit on the aforementioned, on the previous trade entry. We had a sell signal right here, was confirmed on the same day. Bitcoin dropped 15%, $4,500. Huge movement, and LuxAlgo called it. Moving the chart forward here, you'll see that that Bitcoin did end up going to that level. It did end up dropping all the way down there. You can see this sell signal ended up having us take profit down right around 24.5, 24.7. Remember, this sell signal, take profit was at 24.7. I'll just go ahead and show you that really quickly. Take profit the middle zone was at 24,500. You play it forward. We had a little miniature buy signal that you probably would have wanted to ignore for reasons that I can get into another video, but we dropped down to 24.7, dropped down to that exact zone. The reason you wouldn't have paid too much mind to this buy signal is because this buy signal just did not have enough exuberance. We had a buy signal, and the very next day we started a massive downtrend. So we can kind of safely ignore that, and then therefore we can ignore this sell signal, and we can go off of the movements, the take profit that this sell signal gave us. Gave us a sell signal with a median take profit zone at 24.5. Bitcoin dropped down to 24.7. Then we can look down here on the 4-hourly chart, and we can see the Bitcoin went into a buy signal. That buy signal gave us a take profit at 26.7. That's exactly where we went. Then we broke through that. It gave us a new take profit. That new take profit was, let's just back up a little bit. Gave us a new take profit. That take profit was, oh, I need to do it again. Sorry. It had 3 take profits and we hit all of them. Its next take profit came into play right here at $29,100 because we broke above the last one. We hit that pretty concretely, as you can see. Then our next take profit is sitting up here with his middle at $31,000. Bitcoin rallied to $30,700. LuxAlgo has accurately called all of these movements lately. And as of yesterday, I believe it was. Let me just show you here. As of yesterday, let me see where the take profit was. Yes. Okay. So this whole time, the take profit on LuxAlgo has been sitting up here around $32,500. We shall see if Bitcoin will go there, but I am thinking at this point in time that there is a decent chance that it tries. Now, I got to be honest, I have to be on the side of the bears a little bit here because Bitcoin going on this big of a rally does mean that it's got to take a breather sometime. Bitcoin does have to take a break sometime. We can't just run forever. But one way or the other, even if it takes a few weeks, I think we will get up there to that $32,500 region. Very excited to see that. So if you have not already gotten LuxAlgo, I want you to do something for me. Go to LuxAlgo.com. I'll show you how to do it. Go to LuxAlgo.com. There's going to be this Lux30 coupon code up here, but this is only $30 off your first order. I'm about to give you a coupon code for 30% off of every order because this is a subscription, so make sure to use ours. You're going to go hit Buy Now. You're going to choose either the quarterly or the yearly because we want you to be financially sovereign and save all this money. It's a little bit like buying car insurance. We just updated our car insurance, bought it for a 6-month premium, and we saved about 10% on our car insurance because we bought it in a lump sum in advance. If you're in a financially sovereign position, you have cash in reserve, then you can do things like that and you can save even more money. So I'm going to encourage you to buy LuxAlgo because it's an amazing product, and I'm also going to encourage you to use the quarterly or the yearly plan to save yourself money because you can save 30% off of the full price by buying it quarterly. That's a 3-month plan. Or you can save 40% by buying the yearly plan. So we're just going to go ahead and choose the yearly because I think that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. Go choose the yearly plan, and then you're going to hit right here. You're going to click this button, and you're going to go in here and you're going to type in our coupon code, JEB30, JEBB30. I don't think the caps lock matters. Press enter, and you're going to save $147 on that year. That is going to save you $12.50 a month just by using our coupon code on top of the premium yearly. If you go and use our coupon code on the monthly, because that's all you can afford or that's all you want to do, come over here. It's going to save you $20.40 if I remember correctly every single month. Yep, it's going to save you $20.40. It'll bring $67.99 down to $47.59. Let me tell you why that is not too much money for LuxAlgo, because some people are like, oh man, it's expensive. If you made one of those trades on $1,000 with no leverage, you would have made 10% more or less, 10 to 20%. That means on a $1,000 trade, taking one of those trades by just following what LuxAlgo told you to do and not doing any other technical analysis, which is a terrible idea because you always want to use multiple indicators. If you just followed one trade with $1,000 principal on your trade, made 10 to 20%, you would have made between $100 and $200, and that would have paid for between 1.5 to 3 months of LuxAlgo with one trade. One trade. And LuxAlgo works on every single chart that you can possibly imagine. It works on the stock market. It works on the Apple chart. It works on the Dixie. It works on Bitcoin. It works on Ethereum. It works on Cardano, and it works great on all those charts. It has incredible predictive power, and that's why it is the most subscribed to technical indicator in history at this point. There's over 50,000 people that use LuxAlgo. You can see right here, trusted by over 50,000 users, and you can see what people are saying about it. These are real people that are giving real reviews. I am a real user of LuxAlgo, and I've been using it for years in my technical analysis, and I am so very glad that I do. It's even used in Forex markets. So make sure that no matter what market you're in, that you're using LuxAlgo, it's going to give you great trades, and the amount of money that it costs is going to make you so much money because it's such a good indicator. Make sure to use Jeb30 to get that savings at checkout. Let's read chat for a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it out. Josh Van F said, appreciate your content and show, Jeb. Thank you so much. If XRP wins its case, do you think that clears the altcoins? I think it makes the altcoins' chances of not being deemed securities a lot better. I do. BlackRock bad, BlackRock good. Yes, people are arguing about whether or not BlackRock is a good or bad company. I don't want to wade into the ethics on them. There's plenty of reasons to be concerned about them. But yes, definitely be very careful. No, excuse me, not definitely be very careful, but definitely make sure that you understand that BlackRock is very important and very large, even if it's not, even if you have some disagreements with it. All right. Let's see. Joe Bollier said, good morning, Jeb. Good morning to you. Is my biggest loss today since I started trading? What are your advices dealing with it? Great question. I am so sorry to hear that. And I know what that feels like. I've made some pretty big losses. I've missed out on some pretty major opportunities in my career too. First and foremost, I think the most important thing for you to realize is that it happens to everybody, and it's part of the learning process. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to miss out on trades. You're going to make mistakes. I guarantee it that you have made mistakes, and I guarantee that you probably, I don't want to guarantee that you will, but most likely you're going to make another mistake at some point in your life, right? Nobody ever learned anything without making a mistake or without doing exactly what they were told to by the only person that's perfect. What I mean is that unless we make mistakes, oftentimes it is impossible for us to learn anything. We can learn things by not making mistakes, but the only way to do that is by learning from someone else's mistake or by learning from the Word of God. Those are the only two ways to learn something, is by learning from your mistake, somebody else's mistake, or the Word of God. That's the only way to do it. It's the only way. Only way to do it. And so, for the most part, when it comes to anything that's not covered in the Word, like trading, you're going to have mistakes. Somebody had to make a mistake to learn how to do these things. And so, if you take a loss in trading, count it as a lesson. There's a verse that might be helpful here. And even if you're not a Christian, that is totally fine. No judgment here whatsoever. But this verse, whether you believe in the Lord or not, is going to help you here. James 1:2-4 is something that I've really been internalizing and thinking about a lot in my life lately as I've had trials and tribulations and difficulties come my way. It says, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. Translated, what that essentially means is that when you have something come against you, when you have an attack come against you, when you lose something, when something is taken from you, when somebody offends you, when somebody reviles you, when somebody's mean to you, when you lose a trade, when you miss out on making $100,000, when any of those things take place, the wise thing to do Because even if you don't view the Bible as a book of inspired word of God, but you just view it as a book of wise sayings, the wisdom from that is that whenever something happens to you that is bad, it gives you the opportunity to work patience and to reach further towards perfection and learn how to be wise, learn how to be patient, learn how to be kind, learn how to be gentle, and it gives you an opportunity to learn. It's a little bit like the gym. We were in the gym this morning, and deadlift and pull-ups and all kinds of different stuff. It was a pull day. And so when we're in the gym, the way that we grow our muscles is by first breaking them. We have to go through pain. We have to go through hardship, if you will. Now, if you're in the gym, you learn to love it. But that's my point. If you're in trading, it's a similar thing to going to the gym. You're never going to succeed in the gym if you don't love it. You never will. There's a quote in our office out on the wall out here by Steve Jobs that says, the only way to be great at what you do is to love what you do. The only way to be great at trading and investing is to find it in yourself, not to love that you missed an opportunity, not to love that you lost money, but learn to love the lesson in it. That's the only way to ever be successful at trading and investing. It is an absolute core essential, is to love the process of learning more than you hate the process of losing money. That's the only way to do it. And James 1:2-4, even if you are not a Christian, totally fine, no judgment, no condemnation here. I love you so very much, and that's why I do what I do every single day. Even if you're not a Christian, I would advise you to go and read James 1:2-4, apply it to your life today. You will be so very glad that you did when you reframe your mindset around losses as being a horrible thing, even though they may be, and then reframe your mindset around focusing on the fact that there's a lesson in it. That's the wisdom that I want to give you for that question, and that is a wonderful question. I'm sorry to hear that you lost money on that trade, but instead of looking at it as your biggest loss, look at it as your biggest lesson. All right. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Passion cannot be taught, it must be discovered. There's a lot of truth to that. All right, guys, I am going to have to wrap it out pretty quickly. Think the ETF will be approved this year? I'm not so sure. All right, one more thing I want to mention today. Jerome Powell, this is the last thing I want to mention. I kind of forgot to mention it, but we'll go ahead and talk about it here. Jerome Powell said a couple of things recently that at the press conference that you should know. The Federal Reserve's chair, Jerome Powell, said on Wednesday that the U.S. central bank should play a robust federal role in overseeing stablecoins. And he also said that cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin have staying power. Now, Jerome Powell is one of the most powerful men in Washington. And so he seems to believe that Bitcoin has staying power, whatever that means. It's very good that he believes that because it seems to be a mark of approval for the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency industry. And so that is very exciting. All right, guys. Really appreciate everything that you guys are talking about in chat. Make sure to hit that like button, and also make sure to sign up for LuxAlgo if you have not already. Make sure that you guys are continuing to invest in your education. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.